I'm Dee Thomas with digitalbooknook.com, and I am so excited to welcome you all here tonight to the virtual book launch party for Living in Color, A Love Story in Sickness and Health by author Mike Murphy. Mike is here tonight to discuss his new book, and he is joined by Dr. Pat Basili and friends. Mike is the founder of the Love from Margo Foundation, which he started in honor of his late wife, Margot Murphy, which he, sorry, who battled advanced cancer courageously for 9 years before she passed away in 2011. The foundation supports underinsured and low income women suffering from advanced cancer with emergency funds, education, and resources direly needed in their efforts towards healing and recovery. I'm going to turn the screen over right now to Mike, who will introduce his friends. Hello, Mike.
Thank you, Dee, and I appreciate you putting this event on tonight, and thank you very much for that. And we're looking forward for a great time, and if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, send them to Dee, and we'll address them at the bottom of the hour or towards the end of the show if we have time. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and this is a very special day for me. I wrote this book along with a wonderful woman named Ellen Daly, who's going to be with us tonight, and it's a very moving story. It's a page turner. It's emotional. You will cry. But my goal, and two goals I had, one was to honor this wonderful woman that shared my life with me for 10 years. And I was blessed to watch her grow and evolve. And literally, for me, it was a blessing to watch her literally transcend suffering and then transcend death. And I wanted to write a book and honor her. And I'm grateful that Ellen assisted me in that. And then we also have her dear friend, Roberto, that she worked for at Telemundo for many years, and is just a wonderful guy. And besides being the boss, he was started as a boss, but he really became a very dear friend. And then, when she quit working because she couldn't work anymore, they would meet all the time. And she would always come home and tell me about these wonderful conversations that they had. And then there's Monica, her very dear friend, her best friend that worked together at Telemundo. And she was there the whole time I was there. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her. And just quickly, the book, it focuses on November 29th, 2010. Margo, after battling breast cancer for 8 years, was told that if she did nothing, she had 6 weeks to live. And if she treated it, she had 6 months to live. And so the book focuses on those 6 months, and it's very dramatic. It's very intense, but it's also super beautiful, super inspiring. And you're going to meet a very courageous woman after you read the book. And later on in the show, I'm going to mention I have many, many gifts. If you just buy the book, I'm going to give you a lot of gifts. And we're also going to have a huge raffle next week where you can win some really fantastic gifts. Because for me, I really want to get this book into people's hands. And because right now, I think, the book's been finished since late 2015. And it didn't get published, I think, for two reasons. One, I wasn't emotionally ready. And two, I think the world needs it right now. We're looking at this crazy world, and, the collective consciousness is full of fear, anxiety. People are kind of falling apart. They don't know what's happening. And what you're going to find in this book, if you read it, you're going to find someone that looked at fear and death every single day, and every single day chose love. And I think if we can get together as a community now and realize that we're humanity, we're all connected, and the connection is through love and compassion and service to one another, then I really think we can make a difference whatever's going on in the world. And so right now, I'm going to introduce Dr. Pat. Now, Dr. Pat is a radio host in Seattle. She has her own station, actually, and I was part of for a while and hope to be part of again. But she's just the sweetest woman in the world. She has a fantastic show up there in Seattle. I was actually on it today, but I love her and I appreciate her. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and then she's just going to talk to these guys. And, tonight is about Margo and her legacy and what she meant to each one of us and how she touched our lives and how she can touch yours if you read the book. So Dr. Pat, thank you.
Oh, hey, Mike, thank you. I want to welcome everybody here. And I want to say something. I was joking about it before, but I will say it again because I have a funny feeling we're going to go there. And that is, the conversation Mike and I had earlier today, both of us were pretty much crying the entire time, but crying with a smile. And let me tell you what I mean by crying with a smile. I want to talk for a minute, if we could, about the admiration and the courage to bring this message forward in the book and to bring it forward now. what I was thrown by and shocked by as I read the book again, because this was my second time through the book, was getting to not just know and try to sense what the journey was like, but getting to meet Margot at such a deep and profound soul level. And when you combine that with the love they shared, and then Mike's action afterwards, which is all, you'll hear maybe about, and the people that came together, it is hard to imagine how we have gotten so far away from this in the world we live in. And I love what you said, Mike, about bringing this book together now and what it means. Because for all of you listening today, this is a story. It is a love story, but it's a soul story as well. We are meant to care for each other. We are meant to love each other. And I want to just open this up today so all of you can meet Mike, can speak with the people that so contributed to the energy and this story being told. And I can't emphasize enough. This is a book. When you think about buying the book or when you think about getting the book, I want you to think about someone you love. See, this is really where I've come to this moment. I want you to think about somebody you love. And it's not just somebody you love and maybe you've lost. Maybe that's it for you. I want you to think about somebody you love that's maybe still here. And I want you to think about as you read page and page, like we did today on the show, I want you to feel the energy of what it means to look at yourself, look at each other, look at every wrinkle you have, every bump in the road, and know you are still with that beautiful open heart. Because Margot may be gone, but the lifeline of energy that she is creating now, and Mike Murphy to bring the message out, this is beautiful. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Let's take a look at who we have on the show today, Lee. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.
And Dr. Pat, there's someone who's joined us just a few seconds late
Sure.
because he's busy traveling and working, but my dear friend Dale Borglum, who was there every single day the last week of her life, helping her to transition, to take that last breath, and the blessing that he was on me and Margo, but our entire family, her parents, my children, everybody. He's just a wonderful guy. So it's really important that thank you for Dale for being here, but he does a fantastic work in the world, because I don't think there's anything more sacred than being there while someone passes over. So welcome.
I would love to hear from people. I mean, this is like when Mike and I talked about this, we wanted to show up, we wanted to have fun. And, my sense is, as I read through the book again, and I sort of got to lean into a little bit of Margot, it sounded like fun was maybe almost her middle name, sort of at some level. I just thought to myself, I think she maybe have taught Mike how to smile, maybe. Maybe I think that was part of the game, right? You think?
Smile and cry. Hey, can we do this? Because this book wouldn't exist today if it wasn't for Ellen Daly.
Yeah.
And I really want to hear from her. And
Yep.
Ellen, I want to know, because Ellen worked with me on my first two books. And this was the first book I wanted to write, but Ellen worked on the other two. And then I asked her to work on this. She goes, Mike, memoirs aren't my thing. This isn't my thing. But she has her own personal story. Then her life was touched by cancer, and her father kind of ended up doing what I'm doing. So Ellen, please, I want to hear from you, because man, I dumped boxes and boxes of everything on her of our whole life, and she did a fantastic job of saying, okay, we're going to focus on these 6 months with flashbacks. So Ellen, thank you so much for being here. But I want to hear from you what it was like for you working on this project.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Well, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate being here. As you said, the book has been finished for a while, so I've written many others since then, but it's been nice to revisit this one a little bit in preparation for this. And it's reminded me of why I'm very proud to have worked on this. And you're right. When you asked me to work on this, I kept saying no. We'd written a couple other books that were more in the sort of inspirational self-help, sort of prescriptive books, which was a little bit more my wheelhouse. I write business books and self-help books and personal growth books. And back in the day, that was kind of the scope of my work. And so memoir is a really different thing to write. And I was really unsure that that was something that I was capable of doing or was qualified to do. But you really kept insisting you wanted me to do it. And, as you said, I did have a personal experience. I lost my youngest sister to cancer back in 2004. And had gone through that journey with her for almost a decade since her childhood. And so I did really resonate with the story. And I think what was also really interesting for me about this book is, as a collaborator, as a ghostwriter, I work really closely with clients to try to capture their story and their voice on the page. But this was the first time I'd had to work on a book where the central figure was no longer with us. I never met Margot. I never knew her. So I had to get to know her through those boxes and boxes that you shared with me, which were invaluable, journals, emails, letters, cards, photographs. It was a real journey for me to kind of dig into all that and try to get to know her through her voice on the page, really, which was, she wrote so beautifully and she was such a great communicator. It really helped me be able to bring her alive.
Mm. Amen.
Ellen, I want to say this as I went through the book again, and I wondered, how beautifully the representation was. It was really clear to me that you did go through those boxes. You did. I want to know from you, in this experience in writing this, how did it change you?
It's a great question. Every book I work on, I feel like I learned something. This one, I think, it helped me appreciate the role of the caregiver in a way that even though I'd had the personal experience that I'd had with my sister, I wasn't her primary caregiver. Her partner was in that role, and to some extent, my parents as well, especially when she was younger. And I think this book really helped me, through Mike sharing his experience, it really helped me appreciate that role and how little that role is seen and how important it is as a culture. I think that we shine more light on the role of people who are in the position Mike was in and the support that they need, because it's very hard to ask for the support you need when you're being someone else's rock. So I think that's one of the things it really left me with. And I think it helped me have a deeper appreciation for decisions my parents made and ways that they acted at different times during my sister's illness and the choices they were up against and the decisions they were having to make when I was too young to really understand them. So I felt that was very powerful.
Wow, thank you. Wow. And Mike, there are some other people here too.
Yeah.
And
so Dr. Pat, let me introduce
Yep.
Monica now, because
Yep.
so Monica, before Margo and I were a couple, we worked together, and she was doing the advertising for my car dealership, and so that's how I met Monica. Before Margo and I we were just acquaintances, colleagues working together, and she brought Monica in Monica did the weather for Telemundo, and before that she was a model, and she still is a very successful model in Los Angeles, but she was doing the weather at Telemundo, and they were very, very close. So I met Monica when she came to do a commercial for our car dealership, but then Monica was there as well when we all went to Las Vegas on an award trip, and that's when Margo and I started our relationship. And then when Margo was terminal and all those long nights in the hospitals, and then she would come visit Margo in Palm Springs. And one time Margo's had a port, believe it or not, electronic port in her head where they would put chemotherapy, and it was leaking, and I wasn't home. And Monica filmed a video, and they sent it to the doctor, and we were able to figure it out. So Monica, thank you, one, for being here so much. And two, please, your experiences of all this, your memories, your thoughts, and of Margo and everything that you saw and witnessed.
First, I want to say thank you for having me. And, Margo, I believe I share the title of best friend. I consider her my best friend till today. But I share that title with so many people because she made everybody feel so special, like you were the only person in the room. And she was, like you said, so much fun. And she always came from love. And to start with the story where when I met you, Mike, when we all went to Vegas, she came up to me and said, there's this trip that one of our clients is having, very professional, Mike Murphy, and he invited us and his staff to go to Las Vegas, and I'd love for you to come along. It would be wonderful for you to come. So we came, and we met, and we hung out with Mike and her full staff. We had the best time. Margot had not said anything about how she felt about Mike at the time, but just watching her connect with him during that trip. And by the time we left in the following day, she was just a different person. You could tell the way that she would talk about him, the way that she would look at him. It was just magical. You knew something magical was happening between these two people. And then, unfortunately, her journey started when Mike found the lump in her breast. And all I can say about that is that she handled it so stoically. She had so much poise, so much grace. She always wanted to make sure other people around her felt okay, didn't have fear, which I thought that was, incredible for such a young age to be going through and to be concerned about other people. It was painful to watch her go through everything, but at the same time, you had to be in awe of the way that she was handling it and how she always, like Mike said earlier, every day she chose love.
Monica, I gotta ask you because there's something just popped into my head, and Monica is a very successful model, and therefore she knows makeup very well.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we did our renewal of vows ceremony, which you and I talked on the radio about today, Pat, Monica came early to do Margot's makeup, and literally 1 hour before this ceremony was to start, Margot was in a fetal position on the bed. She was having a very, very painful bad day with the cancer. And Monica showed up and somehow turned this person that was really, really, barely alive, turned into this beautiful thing when she walked down the stairs to do it just blew my mind. So maybe tell a little bit about that.
She looked like an angel. She had such a light that shined from inside that no matter what she was going through, all it took I did do a little bit of makeup. Another thing that I remember about Margot was that she never no matter how much pain she was in and what she was going through, she didn't want to be medicated to the point where she was, out of it. So she'd rather be in pain and be able to have a conversation with you and look at you in the eyes and come through as like, I'm here with you. I don't want to be out. She didn't want to miss a moment of anything. And that day, she looked radiant. I don't know, like Mike said, she was in a fetal position. She was in so much pain, and all of a sudden came down the stairs, and she looked like an angel. I still carry pictures of her in my wallet, and she, as you can see in the pictures in the book, she is so beautiful. Yeah. But it's beyond physical beauty. It's just something about her, like it's angelic. It really is.
Yeah, well, you said it earlier, Pat. It's a soul. It's a spiritual thing. Yeah. Can I? There's someone here that's not on screen. That Roberto, that Margot always referred to as Bobby, but he, there's a chapter in the book, and I really hope you guys read this book. And I can't take much credit, and I actually think we made me look a lot better than I am, but because the real beautiful soul in this book is Margot, but Roberto was her boss when I first met her, but then he became her very dear friend after she quit working there, and so I want Bobby to come on right now and just talk about because there's a chapter in the book called "Everybody Loves Margot," and that was my first takeaway when we first started dating. Like, wow, everybody loves this girl, and so baby Bobby, you can speak to that and what it was like for you. When she left working there, and then you continued this friendship, and then you would have these Sunday morning coffee conversations when she was going through the worst of it. So maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Thanks, Mike. Sometimes I have Margot in my heart every day, and I say a daily prayer, and she's in it, along with my parents and friends and family that have passed. But when I first met Margot, she was in her early 20s, and I was a local sales manager at Telemundo. And it was amazing because we had this team, but it was a group of friends. And we had Bill Cabranes and Martin Gomez. And then we also had, Monica, who was in weather, and Floor, who did sports. And everybody would work super hard, like 12-hour days, have dinner together. The kids, when I refer to the kids, it's Margo, and the other ones would go to the gym. I'd go home. And over the years, Margo and our relationship became brother and sister. I was her confidant. She would tell me her deepest fears, how she felt about Mike, everything that was going on in her life. And, she made everybody better, and she just had a magic to her in terms of how she would greet you in the day. She'd call you and she'd go, "Hey, Beanchy Bobby, what are you doing?" And we'd go have lunch, or we'd go hang out with Dom or Monica or the guys, and we always had a great time. And when she became sick, it was really difficult because, Mike had broad shoulders and this whole bit, and he did everything for her. He took her to India, let her go to India, she had like a wish list, a bucket list of things that she wanted to experience. And Mike facilitated that for her in the most beautiful way. And I've seen Mike transform himself from being a real jerk into a beautiful man. And I think that had a lot to do with Margot's spirit and Margot's love. And when Margot was sick, I'd work during the week, or actually I was out of work for a while, and we would go with my wife and we'd meet at the Pete's in San Ramon and have coffee, and we would just talk and we'd laugh. And Lola, her sister, would come by with her babies, and everybody was just happy to be with Margot. But when she did get sick, it was difficult. But she was so brave, and she just tried as hard as she could. And I remember Bill and I going to visit her in the hospital, and she's there with Martha, her mom, and she's crying because she doesn't want to be sick. And Bill and I are outside choked up, Am I still there?
Yep, you're here.
Yes, yes.
Something just happened with my computer. That's why I asked. Overall, I think if anything, I think Margo, at least for me, she was my kid sister. I'm the youngest of five, and I never had like a younger sibling. She was my kid sister, and I love her every day, and I pray to her and pray with her, and sometimes I feel her presence. It's crazy. And my friend Bill Cabranes lives on a boat in Sausalito and named it the Goose after Margo. And the Goose was Margot's kind of nickname amongst us. But if anything, she told me one thing one time, and she goes, I just want Mike to be a better man. That's all I want. For him to be a better man. And then for you, Bobby, to be a better man too.
Thank you, Roberto. So,
Thank you.
by the way, he was right on the money. I mean, those conversations with Margo, a lot of, let's just say she changed me dramatically. Let's just leave it like that. So we're going to circle back with everybody so everybody can think about, anything else they want to add. And before I introduce Dale, I just want to say to everybody, if you buy the book and you send me proof of purchase, mike@lovefrommargo.org, I want to give you a gift. It's $197 value. It's an online course that I created that I think will deeply help your life. So you invest $10 for the ebook or $15 for the book. The book is incredibly inspirational, but I want to give you a gift if you do that. And next week, we're going to also raffle off, because of the Love for Margo Foundation, we're now creating a healing center here in Medellin, Colombia. And we're going to raffle off one 22-day transformational health retreat where you come to Medellin. Mm-hmm. And it's probably the most profound experience you'll ever have in your life for healing everything and becoming very, very whole, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So we're going to raffle that off next week. Everybody that buys the book sends me proof of purchase, mike@lovefrommargo.org. You can enter a raffle, and it's pretty good odds to win. And so you can win that. And we're also going to do a 1 week in December, a 1 week juice detox, and liver flush. And believe me, this is invaluable. I was just listening to the people planning it today. We have amazing doctor, we have amazing nutritionists, we have amazing everything here. And so this 1 week will take years off your life and make you feel so much better. So we're going to do one in December, one in January, one in February. If you want to check it out, you can go to mountainsofhope.com. So that's going to enter into the raffle. So you buy the book, costs $10, $15. You send me proof of purchase. You get the course for free. It's called The Creation Frequency. You can check it out. More importantly, maybe you can win one of these trips, and maybe you just want to come anyways. We're discounting everything the first year. So the liver flush is normally $3,000. It's 8 days. We're going to charge $1,000. The 22-day retreat, we don't know what we're going to charge, but it's going to be the value is invaluable. But it's going to be $7,000 to $10,000. You can win that as well, and that'll be life transforming. And the reason we're doing this because of the Love for Margo Foundation. Historically, we've been giving financial grants to women below the poverty line while they battle cancer because they get sick, they don't have money to begin with, they lose their job, and so we would help them, that's all, and try to support them. But it wasn't getting the job done. They were getting sicker and sicker and dying, and we were wasting money. So I said, okay, we're going to build something that can really serve these women. So check it out. You can find all about it at loveformargo.org or mountofhope.com or creationfrequency.com. So anyways, with that said, we're going to go to Dale, and then we'll circle back around with everybody.
And Mike, may I say something before we go to Dale? Because we did this in the show today, and I got more feedback about this today. And Dale, I want to, yes, this is something that I wanted to read before we went to you, just very specifically. Throughout the show today, I read pieces from the book. Pieces that, oh boy. They tell you in radio and TV, you're not supposed to cry. I don't even know who made up that stupid thing. But I want to read this, Dale, and of course, and Dee, and thank you for doing that. I want to read this because it really talks to what you all have said so far. There's a place in the book where Mike is talking about their love and talking about a picture, and it's a painting. And it's a painting of a woman and a clown. And he talks about going through, rustling through papers. And then it says this, if I could just read this. It says, but we were then, as now, stronger together than we were apart. It just took me a while to figure that out. Back then, Margot had more confidence in our future than I did. And she wrote, they no longer remember all the different reasons they joined the circus. All they know is that they found one another. Yeah. At the end of the day, their world is full of laughter and applause. They are not ashamed of who they are. They are not embarrassed by how others see them. They have what others only dream and only dream of, a passionate and deserving love. Now, when Mike says, please support the book, please support the foundation, this entire book, you will have to read it again and again, because there's not a page in here that you will not relate to in your life. Sorry, Dale, didn't mean to cut you in right there.
Thank you, Pat. So, and what Pat is referring to is that when Margo was a great writer and very deep and very open. And like I said on your show earlier today, she grabbed hold of my heart and she refused to let go until I would open it. And she would say to me, Mike, you need to be vulnerable. You need to be vulnerable, which I didn't have a clue what she was talking about. And it was her death that made me vulnerable and got me to open my heart. So thank you for sharing that, because the book is amazing, guys, and I give most of that credit to Ellen. But Dale, so a week, hospice is there. Margo's been fighting this for 6 months. It's now 6 months, and there's just a little bit time left. And a dear friend of ours said, you need to reach out to this Dale guy and because he's gifted, and when it comes to people transitioning from life to death, taking that last breath. And I'll never forget, he's comes to our house, he's out in the driveway, he calls me up and says, okay, who's in there, what do they believe, because he tailors that message for our whatever our beliefs were. And what he came every day, he drove hour and a half every day to be there with her and to teach her how to meditate through the pain, what to expect when she takes that last breath. And believe me, this changed my life as much as it changed her life and wherever she went. And what there's a beautiful part of the book at the very end, I had to include it, is what's happened the last 9 years in spirit. You know, the 10 years that we were together in physical, but now the 9 years. But Dale is such an instrumental person to navigate this. You know, death is a serious thing, right? And you know, especially when you're going through it with not only the person dying, but the people around it. And you know, he said, you know, have everybody come and say goodbye to her. I mean, what a concept. Who would have thought of that? And then after she passes, make her look very pretty and have everybody come and say goodbye again. I mean, it was so profound to everybody that experienced this. I'm so grateful for this man. And now he's become my very dear friend all these years. So Dale, please share with you that experience and kind of what you do too, because, you know, you're still doing it.
Well, as Mike pointed out, I work with people who are dying and who want to die consciously. So it's not really just hospice. It's not the medical part. It's really bringing together relationship with living spirit and the dying process. So I've been at the bedsides of I don't know how many thousands of people who have died. And I do want to say very clearly that what happened with Mike and Margo was really unusual, that the love that they shared for each other really transformed the experience that Margo was going through. I can't speak to what Roberto said, that Mike was really a jerk, because I only met him right before Margo did die. But at least at that point, Margo's injunction for him to be a good man was something that he was taking really, really seriously. And as a result of that injunction and the transformation that Mike went through because of Margo's dying, he created this foundation that I'm on the board of, the Love for Margo Foundation. And he and I at one point drove from the East Bay down to Amanda's house. Where was that she lived? Somewhere down in the,
Yeah, like south of Fresno, I think. Yeah, towards
it was like Bakersfield or something, and it was like a and the juxtaposition of the support and medical care and all the other trappings that were available to Margo and what was not available to Amanda was something that really inspired Mike to be a good man and to create this foundation that still exists. And its purpose is really to help people deal with dying in a way that is not driven by fear and a lot of things that are going on in our society. So that in a very real way, death is a spiritual opportunity. If we look around this virtual room that we're in, we see male and female and older and younger and bigger and smaller. And in that dimension, you will die and I will die. In that dimension, we get old. In that dimension, all these changes are happening. But is there another way to look around this room and see the way that we're all the same, that we're all an expression of Christ consciousness or Buddha nature? So that the work I do is helping people deal with the human part, with it, with the emotional, physical things they're going through, but to not forget that all that is happening within the context of the spiritual reality, that it's so easy to forget, particularly here in the Western world right now. So when I came to meet Mike and Margo, it was a very difficult time. It was just becoming clear that it was extremely unlikely that she was going to survive too much longer. And she had a lot of pain in her body. She was becoming weaker, but at the same time, it was really clear that her love for Mike, for her family, Mike's family, her niece and nephew, was something that she really was getting a lot of strength from. So I was going to the house on a very regular basis toward the end and helping people find this balance. It's a tricky balance. I mean, it's easy to get lost in the human dimension, and it's easy to say I'm just spiritual and that human stuff isn't all that important. Can we do both of those at the same time and remember Buddha nature, Christ consciousness, our own true nature, higher power on one hand, and on the other hand, that here's a family that's losing this very beautiful being and that it's a tragedy. And on the other hand, it's a miracle. It's very beautiful. I mean, actually, the Native Americans have a saying, people have it backwards. They cry when somebody dies and they laugh when somebody is born. You should cry when somebody's born because of all the suffering they're going to have to go through, and laugh when they die because now they're going to be free and they're going to go off to the heaven realm or whatever you believe. So, in my view and in my experience, that the dying process is the deepest opportunity in a lifetime in which to realize who we really are. I mean, right now, it's so easy to get caught up in, I'm in Fairfax, California, and Mike is in Colombia, and I don't know where everybody else is, but we're spread all around the planet. And that it seems like we're separate beings. But all the scriptures say that in a sense, we're one. We're one with God, we're one with each other. And dying has the opportunity, has the possibility of revealing that truth to all of us. So I'm not interested in dying. I'm not Mother Teresa in drag. I'm interested in awakening. I'm interested in the fact that I'm going to die and you're going to die, not in a morbid sense, but that keeps reminding me that there's something much more important, much more real, much more alive than how the stock market's doing today and that car that I got from Oakland VW, is it really still running or not? Or is it another one of those lemons that Mike seems to be pointing off on people? Just kidding about that part. It's a great car. Thank you, Mike. Okay.
Hey, Dale,
But
I got to interject. So me and Dale were talking on the phone the other day, and he reminded me he's 78. And I go, I'm thinking, shit, I better hurry up and die while this guy's still around. But anyway, it's easy to see why I love this man so much. And, this man, he was a PhD mathematician major at Stanford and said, hey, I'm going to India and I'm going to find the truth. And he ended up going there, meeting a guy named Ram Dass, who it was Richard Albert Time, came back as Ram Dass, but he sat at the feet of Maharaji and he learned this, you know what? And what I love about him, and because it reminds me so much about Margo, is about unconditional love. And Dale learned that from Maharaji. He shares that with the world. He's been doing this work forever, and I just love this man, and so blessed to know him. So thank you, Dale, for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
And
It's
so,
time to stop talking, right?
no, you can keep talking as long as you want, but we're going to run out of time. But because I want to give everybody another chance to circle
Sure.
around, because I'm so grateful for everybody that showed up tonight. And so let's go back to Ellen, because we wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for Ellen taking my challenge to step out of her comfort zone and write this. So yeah, and Ellen, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Ellen, Dale, and I have written a book about death, and now that this one's getting published, now we can eventually work on publishing that one, because believe me, writing a book is much easier than publishing and promoting and selling a book. So just FYI, anybody's dreaming about writing a book, it's not what you think it is. So anyways,
Okay, I changed my mind about that. Thank you, Mike. I'm just like, that is like, so don't even call these agents back. I've taken it off my plate.
Okay. So Ellen, so back to you. So anything you want to add that now you've heard everybody, and anything that resonates with you?
There's so many things, but I think one of the things I was just remembering about the writing process that I thought was maybe an interesting insight from a writer's perspective was just one of the things I really wanted to capture with this book was we had this story that was 10 years long. Your love story lasted almost 10 years, I think. And yet we had these final 6 months that were very, they were the heightened part of the story, because that was when she had her final battle with cancer and knew that her time was limited. And we ended up beginning the book with the day she got the news that she had either 6 weeks or 6 months to live based on her choices. And writing the book, I think one of the big breakthroughs, and I don't remember exactly how it happened now, I'm sure we were in conversation about this, but one of the decisions we made early on that I think really contributed to making the book what it is that we took those final 6 months and we used that timeline as the frame of the book. And during that time, you had written, Mike, these long email updates to all Margot's friends and family and all the people who loved her. And so I had these primary sources that were written in the present tense as this drama was unfolding. And so I made the decision to write the book using those emails really as the backbone of the narrative, and to write those 6 months in the present tense as it was unfolding, so that we could try to give readers a sense of the immediacy of that time and of what it felt like to have the clock ticking like that and to be in that journey with you. And then we included a lot of the backstory kind of as flashbacks and found ways to weave those in to give people a sense of how you and Margot met and how you came together and how you'd come to that point, all of which was a very important story. But I think that decision to kind of not just tell the story chronologically, starting with the day you met and ending with the day she died, but rather to have those sort of dual timelines, I think it was a creative challenge for me that I really enjoyed and found very satisfying. And I was very proud of how it came together. And I think that was a really key decision we made to do it that way.
Yeah, and let me add, because that's the brilliance of this book, and that's all on you, because I had already written the 4 other versions of this book, and one by myself and with 3 other people helping me. But you had the insight, the brilliance to say, okay, there's too much here, and we're going to focus on these 6 months, and then do flashbacks into this other story, right? And that was the brilliance of it. So I give you all that credit, and that's, I think, what makes this book such a page turner. So thank you all.
And, may I say something?
Please do.
Yeah, Ellen, let me say something about this, and just from my perspective, so you know what Mike means. I've been doing this 18 years. My primary focus starting this, after dialing a wrong phone number, I could never read and write as a kid. I'm learning different, let's just call it. And I have to tell you this, and I've said this today. I have read and interviewed over 9,000 people, and I've read every book. I'm telling you when I say that I've never read a book written this way that captures the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit of everyone you mentioned, everyone from showing and talking about Kelly in the book, everybody. I have read thousands of books, bestsellers, people that wrote books that think they're celebrities, and none have hit me and my team the way this book. So I do believe, Dale, that at some level, this is so spiritually written. And I just needed to interject and say that. And I didn't say it today, Mike, on the show, but you're here now, Ellen.
Well, thank you.
So I just needed to say that.
Yeah, I mean, and Ellen deserves that credit. She just really figured it out, and God bless her for that. So I have to bring this person on, because she is a lot of the book. Is my youngest daughter, Kelly, and there's a scene in the book that I can't read, without crying. And so I hope, Kelly, I don't know where you are in this thing here, but I hope, can we find her, Dee? I don't know. I just see she's here, but she says she's been here, but she might just be listening. So anyways, I guess she's not here, but so she was my youngest of 4, and her and Margo were like this. And we had to send Kelly away. She was a troubled kid like I was. And we had to send her away in the middle of the night to go live in the Utah mountains in the middle of winter for 4 or 5 months. And there's a story in the book where me and Margo go, and there's a picture of her. And so me and Margo go to visit her. And she hasn't been in a building or a shower for like 4 months. She's caked with dirt. And so, like all these things, you sit around a fire, and the parents, you got to share something that nobody knows about you. And so, and there's like 4 other families there. It's pretty intense, right? You've got a troubled kid and blah, blah, blah. And so it gets to Margot's turn, and she goes, I just want you to know that you don't know about you. The task was tell us something we wouldn't know about you just looking at you. She goes, Margo goes, I can't have children, but Kelly is like my daughter, right? And then it gets to Kelly's turn, and Kelly basically says, I have a mother, but Margo is like my mother as well, even though she's not my biological. It's a moment in time that I will never forget. And that, and that's how Margo was. I mean, she just, and those two, they were very, in fact, all three of us are very similar, so there was a lot of this, but at the end of the day, Kelly, God bless her. I mean, she's 10 years sober or something. She just had she has a 1-year-old baby. She's doing great. So, and I give a lot of credit to her turnaround and her being this mature woman that she is today to Margo. So I just wanted to share that. I didn't mean to take up any time. So let's go back to, and I know Monica knows Kelly as well. So I want to go back to Monica right now. Just Monica, anything you want to talk about?
I just want to say that I can't wait for people to read this book because, like everybody's been saying tonight, you will feel the love coming through. You will relate to every chapter. And I just like Roberta was saying earlier, I just feel like Margo's still with us. I think about her all the time, often. Like I said, I carry her pictures. I meditate to her. I pray to her. If I see a butterfly or a hummingbird, I immediately think of her. So she's a very special soul that will continue to touch so many people, especially through the book. So I hope everybody goes and gets it.
And my favorite thing in the book, and if we would have published this when it was ready, it wouldn't be there. And I owe this to you, Monica, because you introduced me to this amazing medium, Felix, that you had this profound experience with when you lost someone dear to you. And then I went, and I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this body, this thought, this isn't who we are. Okay, we are a soul, we are spirit, we are essence, we are eternal, timeless consciousness, and you can never die. And I guarantee you, Margo, she left her physical body, but she has been here guiding me for this whole time, and perhaps many others as well. But that's really the takeaway of this book. You're going to meet someone that you're just going to come away a different, better person, and with a changed person. So, okay, I'm going to keep moving here. So, Roberto, we're going to come back to you, my friend.
Hey, you guys. I've just been flipping through my Facebook, looking at pictures of Margo. Bill sent me a beautiful, painting of Margo, and the love for Margo Foundation and what it's been created for, and I have to say the spiritual transformation that Mike Murphy has experienced to, you go from a situation where you're a person of commerce, you're kind of like, it's all about self-interest. And after going through and losing your wife, or in my case, my little sister, and the whole transformation in terms of what Mike's done with Margo's life has created a legacy, And I was telling my kids that there's a street down in Palm Springs, because they were in Palm Springs a few weeks ago, called Margo You Cedar Way. And, and when we walk, and there's not a day that goes by where I'll be talking to one of my friends, and, we all knew Margo, and we'll say something. Remember when the goose did this, or remember when the goose did that? And she just had a way of touching your heart. And one of the most beautiful things that I remember about Margo was when we were all at Telemundo, we'd throw these wonderful promotions, these salsa dances, and the whole 5,000 people dancing salsa. And Margo would come with her mom and her dad and some of her cousins. And I always thought it was so cute that her parents, and her dad looks like Sylvester Stallone, kind of like Rocky Balboa, and her mom looks just like Margo. And they would come out, and everybody would dance, and it was just that whole thing of celebrating life. And I think Margo, Monica talks about the butterfly, and I've talked to my daughter Karina, and I said, if a butterfly shows up, it's Margo. And she was in Oaxaca, and she went to Mount Alban, And she goes, Margo was there, Dad. There were these butterflies all over.
Yeah. You know what? Boy. So there's an incredible butterfly story. I'm not going to tell it tonight. I don't think it's in this book, but it's in the first book I wrote called Love Unfiltered. And it's the most amazing butterfly story you'll ever see. And I'm not going to get into it now, but thank you for sharing that and reminding me of that. Okay, my friend Dale. So you are the guru here. So I'm going to give you the last guest word before we give it back to Dee here.
So before that, why did they call Margot Goose? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, why did they? I think it's because she walked funny or something. I don't know.
No, I don't know what happened. We just, you know how everybody developed nicknames, and, William Cabranes was Billy, and Martine was Tino, and Margot became the Goose.
It just seemed very ungoose-like to me somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, but it was just a thing of affection, and they used to call me Beanchy, so.
There we go.
That fits.
Yeah.
Okay. So my very first meditation teacher, Suzuki Roshi, said, the most important thing is finding the most important thing. And I think a lot of people go through life without really even asking what the most important thing is. And Margot asked that question, and she answered that question. And the most important thing for her was love, as I think it is for almost everybody who really asked the question in a very genuine way. So that even though she was going through all this pain and discomfort in her body and all these really invasive medical procedures all the time, at least during the time I met her when she was really being challenged, there was never a moment that I was with her where she was not relating to me and those around her with love. And not just like a friendly kind of love, but some kind of a deeper love, a genuine love that really transcended how long I know you and who you are and all those kinds of things. So I've had the blessing to travel around the world, being with some of the greatest meditation teachers of the latter part of the 20th century, lamas and gurus and Sufis and Christian mystics and people. And they were all very different in terms of personality, but they all had this radiant core that permeated whatever they did. And Margot really had a lot of that. There was something about her that we can talk about her personality and the nice things that she did, but there was something beyond that. And I think that's what Ellen was able to really reveal in the book, so that the book is not just another memoir about somebody that loved somebody and somebody died.
Right.
It's really almost like a guide to how you can find something in your own life.
Yeah. And let me add why the book is so rich. Because after she passed and I was packing things up to move into another house, and we actually bought it while she was terminal, and then got the keys the night of her memorial service. But I found journals that she had written from age 12 till she passed at 38. And they are so profound. And Ellen went through them. I went through them. And this person, this woman, her soul was so deep. Her love, her understanding of the heart and the love was so deep. And to be able to read these journals. And then we started this blog when she was terminal. Again, her writings from the heart are so touching. It literally just, like I said, being with her through the entire 10 years we were together, and believe me, it wasn't easy. Plato talked about twin flames that were one soul cut in half, and we spend many lifetimes looking for the other half. And her other dear friend, Dominique, who's not here, but worked with Roberto and Monica, was there the first time me and Margot met. And she will testify that the moment our eyes connected, there was something energetically magical, and Margot and I, we didn't talk about it for 7 months because it wasn't appropriate. But once we got into a relationship, we were both just, something magical happened. And for me, I feel like that was my other half. And that's why I felt so complete. But at the same time, 24/7, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. So everything I love about myself, of course, I saw and I love about her, but everything I didn't like about myself also got reflected back to me. And that's why, our relationship, wasn't easy at times. And when we met, we were in difficult situations to be together. And so just getting the fact that we even got connected as a couple took a lot of energy and stuff, right? And then to find a tumor in her breast 9 months later and then deal with all that. I mean, the book is and I give this credit to Ellen, as and to Margo that had all these rich material for us to choose from. I'm just kind of a witness to this thing, and I can't take much credit. And believe me, I think because I was in so much grief, Ellen made me look a lot better than I am. But the truth is, I am a deeply flawed person, and because of this love and because of this open heart, that I was transformed. And I really feel like whatever's happening that's positive in my life is happening through me, not because of me. And it's happening through me because of someone loved me enough to stay there with me and to open this heart. And so I'm forever grateful, not only to Margo, that experience, and I have a wonderful life and wife now, and who shares this passion for me to serve those less fortunate and to create something super magical here in Medellin, Colombia, which we are doing. So I'm super blessed. I'm super lucky. I'm super grateful. So what I want to end with right now is that, please, I hope you will purchase the book. I hope you'll read the book. And more importantly, if you send me proof of purchase, I want to send you this course, because I really believe if you want to grow, if you want to make life better, it won't get easier, but it will get a lot better if you'll just follow this simple process. So I want to give that as a gift. But more importantly, every dime that we make from the book goes to the Love for Margo Foundation. And the Love for Margo Foundation is all about serving women below the poverty line. And this is because I met this wonderful woman named Amanda right after Margo passed. And she showed me that there's a huge injustice in the world when it comes to people with money and people without money. And that should not be that way when it comes to the medical profession. It should not be that way when it comes to people's life and death. Okay. And so that's my passion. Martin Luther King Jr. said that an injustice anywhere is an insult to justice everywhere. And that's why the Love for Margo Foundation exists, because Margo opened my heart and Amanda showed me the injustice in the world. And that's what we're trying to at least put a little dent. And, right now, the world is a crazy place, right? But here's how we can make it better. Okay, all of us. There's 7.5 billion people on this planet right now, and if 3.5 billion would just raise someone up less fortunate, and I don't care if it's a smile, a hug, a kiss, whatever. If we would all just raise someone up less fortunate than ourselves, consciousness will rise. And Dale knows about this, and so does everybody else. And love will rise. And then when love rises, then hate diminishes. And when suffering is alleviated, then the world becomes a better place. And now we can transform what's happening right now, and we can usher heaven back on the earth. If we will unite, we got to quit fighting and dividing between each other. So I don't want to go on too much longer about this, and we're running out of time. So once again, buy the book, send me proof of purchase, mike@loveformargo.org. I want to go around the room one more time, just say thank you to everybody. Dee, thank you for putting this on for us tonight. Dr. Pat, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show today, being here to host this and help me tonight as the professional that you are. Monica, God bless you. I love you. You've been there the whole time. You've been such a dear friend to Margo and to me. And to Roberto, thank you for all those, Sunday morning coffees with Margo and letting her vent, and be just listening. When someone's sick, just be there and listen, and you can serve. And of course, Ellen, I mean, thank you so much. You're a true gift, and you have an amazing talent, and I thank you so much for that. And for Dale, what you've done with your life and how you've served humanity, I will be forever grateful for that time that we spent together. And since then, you've been a dear friend since it's been 10 years now, believe it or not,
Yeah.
And so I am just so grateful to everybody here. Of course, I'm grateful to Margot, and I'm very grateful for my beautiful wife now, Sarah, that supports me. I mean, this is not easy for, this shouldn't, I mean, this is not fair really in a lot of ways, right? But she knows my heart, and this book was written long before I met her, and it's important that it comes out into the world today, and that it touches hearts. Because listen, love is the answer. And when we open this heart, it can get hurt and it can get painful. But if we live here, this is the insane asylum. If we live here, this is who we truly are. And this is where we get blessed. So as painful it is, I just want to say to everybody here tonight, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time, sharing this experience. And for everybody out there listening, thank you for being here tonight as well. God bless. And
Thank you,
I'll
Mike.
let Dee, I'm going to hand it back to you and let you close this. And thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Just a reminder that we have the giveaways. If you purchase the book during this event, you will receive the online course, The Creation Frequency. That's Mike's online course. And then next week, are we still on for the raffle next week?
Yeah. So next week we're going to do the raffle live. So I want everybody to know I'm, just because I'm a car salesman doesn't mean I'm a crook. Okay. So we're going to actually give these things away, and we're going to do it live on thing. And then anyway, and if you have questions, if there's something that touched your heart tonight, something you want to know about the book, hey, we'd love to hear from you guys and really go deep into what, your experience with this and what you're struggling with. Honestly, I mean, that's really what my life is about today, is to serve others, and to whatever's going on, just how can we help? So next week, same time, same channel.
All right. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you for everyone for watching the broadcast if you weren't able to be here today, and to watch the broadcast in the repeat. So have a good evening.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, everybody.
You.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye, Monica.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. I don't know if anybody's still here, but is anybody still here?
Yes.
Well, just hold on for
So-
just one moment. Hold on for
Okay.
just a moment.
Oh, sorry. I got to tell you these guys one thing. I mean, I'm getting inundated with text messages